Hello, it's me. Today I have prepared a fairy tale for you. Before we start, I would like to tell you that this is a real fairy tale from France. Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, there lived a king and queen who had 3 daughters. The eldest 2 were beautiful, but the youngest was ugly. She was not only ugly, she was also stupid and clumsy. She broke everything around her and was generally good for nothing. Once, when the king and queen were celebrating their anniversary, they invited all the nobility to their palace. There were many eligible young men at the party, and so the king decided that it was high time for his eldest daughter to get married. The princess was reluctant to marry any of the boring nobles, so she told her father she would only agree to marry a man who could make her laugh. The king thought about it for a moment, and then announced that whoever made the princess laugh would become her husband. Of course, none of the nobles could fulfill this condition. They tried their best, but the princess either remained emotionless or burst out laughing at inappropriate moments. Then a poor woodcutter came into the hall. He was an outsider and had no idea how to make the princess laugh. But he was very much in love with her and wanted to marry her. So he went up to her and said, "My princess, you are so beautiful that I could look at you all day long." "Oh, shut up, you silly woodcutter," said the princess, and everyone laughed. The woodcutter didn't know what to do. That's when an idea struck him. He took off his belt and tied it around the princess's waist. Then he began to dance and sing funny songs. The princess liked it so much that she burst out laughing and soon agreed to marry the woodcutter. Everyone was shocked. None of the nobles could understand how the simpleton woodcutter had managed to win the princess's heart. When the king heard that his daughter was going to marry a poor woodcutter, he became furious. He ordered the guards to throw the woodcutter into prison and not give him any food or water until the next morning. But that night, the princess sneaked into the dungeon and gave the woodcutter some wine and bread. Every night, the princess brought him food, and they talked for hours. The woodcutter told her about his life in the forest, and the princess confided in him about her unhappy life in the castle. In the morning, the princess visited her father and told him she would never marry anyone but the woodcutter. When the king heard that, he ordered to bring the woodcutter to him. "You want to marry my daughter? Very well, I will give you a chance. But first, you must show me that you are worthy of her." He handed the young man a ring and said, "Go to the magic lake and ask the lady of the lake for a magical ring in return for this one. If you manage to get the ring from the lady of the lake, I will give you my permission to marry my daughter." The woodcutter thanked the king and hurried to the lake. As soon as he got closer to the lake, a beautiful woman emerged from the water. She introduced herself as the lady of the lake and asked the woodcutter what he wanted from her. The woodcutter took the king's ring out of his pocket and handed it to her. The woman put it on her finger and said, "For such a valuable gift, I will give you my own ring." She took off her ring and gave it to the woodcutter. Then she disappeared in a flash of lightning. The woodcutter returned to the kingdom and presented the king with the magical ring. The king was very pleased and gave his consent to the marriage of his daughter and the woodcutter. After the wedding, the young couple went to live by the magic lake. The woodcutter became the most respected man in the kingdom, and he and the princess lived happily ever after. Now, dear friends, it's time for you to show that you are the most attentive listeners. Let's answer the following questions. What did the woodcutter do when he understood that he couldn't make the princess laugh? He tied his belt around the waist of the princess and began to dance and sing funny songs. Wrong. He took off his belt and tied it around the princess's waist. Then he began to dance and sing funny songs. Right. What did the king order to do with the woodcutter? He ordered the guards to let the woodcutter go. No, he ordered the guards to throw the woodcutter into prison and not give him any food or water until the next morning. What did the princess bring the woodcutter in the dungeon every night? She brought him wine and bread. How did the woodcutter get the magical ring from the lady of the lake? He bought it from her for the king's ring. No, she gave him her ring in return for the king's ring. Well done. Today's fairy tale comes from faraway France. It has been translated into many languages of the world, including Russian. In Russia, this story had a slightly different ending. After the wedding, the young couple went to live in a tiny house in the woods. The hut was always filled with delicious food and various delicacies. And the princess spent her days picking flowers and herbs, and the evenings reading books. One day, the king and queen went to visit their daughter, They were very happy to see how well she was doing. The king and queen hugged her, and the princess felt so loved that she burst into tears. "Why are you crying, my dear?" the queen asked. "I'm so happy right now, but I can't help shedding a few tears. I feel sorry for myself. I was born an ugly and stupid girl, but now I'm the happiest woman in the world. Don't be sad, my dear. You don't have to cry. Just go to the magic lake and ask the lady of the lake for help. She will turn you into the most beautiful woman in the kingdom." The princess thanked her parents for their support and went to the lake. When she approached it, a beautiful woman emerged from the water. She introduced herself as the lady of the lake and asked the princess what she wanted from her. "I am the ugliest woman in the kingdom, and I would like to become the most beautiful one." "Very well," said the woman, "but in exchange I will need your ring." The princess took off her ring and gave it to the lake. In an instant, the woman transformed into a beautiful princess. Then she disappeared beneath the water. The princess returned home and told her parents about what had happened. Together they went to the lake, but the lady of the lake was nowhere to be found. They waited for her for a long time, but she never showed up. The princess was very upset because she had no way to return to her previous appearance. Suddenly the water began to ripple and the lady of the lake rose to the surface. "I have something to give you back," she said, holding out the princess's ring. "Thank you, but I don't need it anymore." "Keep it for yourself," said the princess. "Very well, since you don't need this ring, I will give it to someone else. But before that, I want to play a little trick on you." She put the ring on her finger and disappeared. The princess and her parents were very scared. They didn't know where the lady of the lake had gone, or if they would ever see her again. At that moment, a handsome prince arrived at the castle. He had come to ask the princess's hand in marriage. He heard about everything that had happened. He said, "Don't worry, my dear. I will find the lady of the lake and return you to your previous form." And that's exactly what happened. The prince found the lady of the lake and struck a deal with her. The next day, the princess was transformed back into the ugly duckling, but she was the happiest woman in the world. She had found true love and knew that only a real miracle could explain it. And now, dear friends, I invite you to take a little quiz and check how well you listened to the fairy tale. Who did the princess decide to marry? A poor woodcutter, a rich merchant, a handsome prince. No, the princess decided to marry the poor woodcutter. Where did the princess go when she wanted to change her appearance? She went to the magic lake. Why did she want to change her appearance? She wanted to become beautiful because she was ugly. Well done. This is the end of our story today. Now you can leave comments below and share your thoughts. Did you like the story? Which fairy tale would you like to hear next? Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.